All right, so what we're going to be looking at today is rigging and posing inside of Zbrush. We're going to be using their new Z Transpose tool. So to do that, we're going to go into Z plugin. I'm going to go ahead and make this, drag it over here. So that way I've got it up here. And then we have what's called Transpose Master. So I'm going to click on Transpose Master. I'm going to choose Z-Sphere Rig and then T-Pose Mesh. So what that's going to do is it's going to give me a low poly version that I can start messing with and automatically attach a Z-sphere to it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on symmetry. That way I can kind of make this work for me and do everything. So I'm going to go ahead and scale this down a little bit. I'm going to move it up. Okay, switch back to draw mode. Go ahead and make the legs. Switch to the side view. That way I can go ahead and really make sure to move these into as close as I can get to something that kind of resembles a leg. Doesn't have to be perfect, mind you. We're pretty close. There we go. Okay, so come back up here. Remember, if it's green, that means you're right in the middle. So drag that up. Switch back to Q for draw. And you can see all we're doing is building a pretty much general rig that you would be used to doing inside of animation or something like that. And we're just kind of building a skeleton inside of this guy. One thing to always make sure to do is be looking at orthographic views, or at least like, how you hold shift and like slide to lock that view. Go ahead and make sure you do that. That makes moving and drawing quite a bit easier. So move this down and of course do it again. Now, I don't think I'm going to be giving him individual fingers because I don't need that, but if you do need that for your dragon, then by all means go ahead and give it the individual claws. Okay. And then of course I'll come back in here, gonna make one for the head. Now there's no paint weights in ZBrush, so one thing you do have to realize is that the more ZBrush Z-spheres you have, the better your rig will be bound. So I'm going to come back in here and kind of click and draw to go ahead and give it like a little bit more control, especially around the arms, because the arms are going to try to rip off this part of the body. So you can see I'm just kind of building like a rib cage, essentially. A very not realistic looking rib cage, but a rib cage nonetheless. Okay, so let's say you've got everything in place and you want to rig it and see what it looks like. So you're going to scroll down on your right side and you're going to see something called rigging. So I'm going to go ahead and click bind mesh. And then if I switch to my rotate tool, then I can go ahead and rotate that and see how it works. So I can go ahead and pose it. Let's turn off symmetry, so maybe I can kind of have them do something else here. And again, what I'm doing is making sure to move into my orthographic views to make my life a little bit easier for my rotations and stuff. So we could have them like running. I don't know why his hands are like that, but that's okay. So you can see I'm constantly switching the view. And that's one thing that you do have to do is you have to constantly switch the view. And you can see that his mesh is kind of pulling apart just a little bit. Not pulling apart, but changing a bit. And that's fine. That's just, I don't have enough Z-spheres to control all that movement. So if I had some more, I could control that pretty easily. So it's kind of looking over there and kind of like, whoa, what's up? Okay. So once you have it all rigged, all posed just like you want it, and at any time you could unclick bind mesh and go back and reapply it, and add new Z spheres and stuff, and then go back to pose. The only problem is it won't save your pose, so keep that in mind. Like it won't keep what you had done. Um, so there we go. Whee! Okay. So I've got it posed just like I want it. It looks amazing. I mean, not really, but whatever. And of course, the more bones you use, the better you'll be able to do. So then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click T-pose sub T. That's going to rebuild the mesh and put everything back together. So there we go. Now you may have to go in here and adjust your subtools some, because it won't quite put them back where they necessarily need to go. But I mean, it usually does okay. These guys are the same, so that'll be a little bit of a pain to move, but we'll get through that. But anyway, so there you go. That's all you have to do. That gets it all posed for you, and that's it.